This is Graduate a CEO, what it takes and what it means to become an entrepreneur, and why college is the perfect time to start your business. Here's Jim Hunter.
Welcome back to my discussion with Jared Judge, the founder and CEO of BookLive. We've been talking about how his struggles as a musician inspired him to create BookLive, a powerful tool that automates many of the tasks associated with running a successful live music business. Jared's passion for both music and technology is evident, and his unique blend of skills and experience has enabled him to thrive in an industry that demands innovation, creativity, and a deep understanding of both art and business. And now, Jared, I want to get into how you funded the development of BookLive, and what advice do you have for entrepreneurs seeking funding?
Yeah, so we do have a local Milwaukee investor, Jim Miller from Zywave, former co-founder of Zywave. He did invest in our development. Aside from that, we are bootstrapped. We do not have plans to raise additional funding. I've gone back and forth on the whole fundraising idea. We have enough monthly recurring revenue that we would be very attractive to raise a seed round of investment, or even possibly at the Series A level. Or if we continue doing what we're doing and market ourselves effectively and profitably, then we know that if we invest for every dollar we put into Facebook ads, Google ads, that we're getting at least $2 back, then this engine is essentially feeding itself with its own funding, that we don't need to raise more money.
There are times when people are strapped for funds and they want to go out and get funds, but there's a penalty that you pay, and it may be giving away part of your business. Right. And whether that's an important aspect for you or not, a good question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you are going to raise funds, you're essentially selling your business as an opportunity for investors to make more than their money back in return. It's a risky investment for them, but the easiest way to, eliminate that idea of risk is by showing traction, which is a vote for make yourself profitable from the get-go, and then you'll be more, attractive to investors in the future. Which I know sounds kind of like a weird catch-22, is how do I make myself profitable without investment? But to me, that's where the work of learning how to market yourself and offer products and services on the front end that don't need hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in investment to sell. I say sell first, even if it's your minimum viable product, and then you'll be able to show that traction to investors and attract the funding that you need.
Well, great. Looking at the history of BookLive, you kind of got going, and then with the onset of the pandemic, you hit a bottom again. Have you pulled out of that substantially, and do you feel comfortable with your current growth situation and the future?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Being that my business is a live events-based business, the pandemic crippled that industry. It did affect all of our customers financially. They weren't getting the bookings that they wanted. It was affecting us personally, because if our musicians were running out of money, there's no way that they could afford what we were doing. And so we did have to make some pivots. We launched a couple products during that time, which we no longer offer, but they did help us bridge the gap during that time, including virtual performances, which we called virtual serenades, like having a guitarist sing happy birthday to you over Zoom. But yes, it is now 2023, and we feel that we have more than pulled out of that pandemic rut, and we've launched a lot of other products and services that have actually surpassed where we were at pre-pandemic, and have created a path for us to be way more sustainable and profitable going forward.
Can you talk a little bit about those other offerings?
Yeah, and I hinted at it earlier. The big one is my coaching program. It's called Full-Time Music Academy, and it is a combination of several courses that I've created where musicians can follow along and create their website, design it in a way that generates leads and then sells them their services on the back end. So in addition to the courses, there's also live coaching over Zoom, and there's also pre-written templates for them, and just all these kind of bonus goodies, including a community of like-minded entrepreneurial musicians that, these musicians come into this program as musicians. They turn into marketers of their music that are way more profitable for their own art than they were before coming to us. And so that particular coaching program was born during the pandemic. It was when I was looking inward, like, how do I make this company survive these next couple of years? And I realized it was in our ability to market ourselves and our ability to serve our musicians at a very deep level. And so why not do both of those? Serve our musicians at a very deep level, literally help them build their businesses, and then just market our ability to do that very aggressively. And so that was how we introduced monthly recurring revenue into our business.
Great. What metrics do you use to measure the success of BookLive?
Good question. The biggest one is monthly recurring revenue. We want to make sure that number is growing. Is it growing, flat, falling? We always want that number to be growing. That's our North Star metric. So how do we reverse engineer from that North Star metric? How do we increase that? And that is through our lead flow. How many new leads are coming in every week or every day? How many of them are taking us up on our offers for we call it a MIFGI, Most Incredible Free Gift Ever, which is how it's a product we've created that makes it enticing for them to start a trial of our monthly recurring software and coaching program. And so we want to measure that. Plus, we're always running split tests of our marketing to see which variation of this sales page is converting higher than the other. And so we're always monitoring the performance of our marketing materials and making adjustments.
Good. How do you determine pricing strategy for BookLive?
It's a good question. It's a combination of seeing what others in our industry or similar style software companies are doing, plus experimenting. I consider pricing to be an experiment. We're always split testing pricing. We want to find that price point that is profitable for us so we can keep our lights on, keep everything running smoothly, but also one that doesn't necessarily price out some of our future best customers. Musicians are price sensitive. This kind of gets back to our first discussion, is that most musicians are playing these gigs that don't fund their lives. They have to take on what they call real jobs in quotation marks to fund their very expensive music hobby. And so we want to find a price point that works for them, but also motivates them to implement the strategies that we share to elevate their art to a higher paying level. So it's a combination of all those factors. Yeah, we're always experimenting with it.
How do you ensure customer satisfaction and maintain a high level of service quality on BookLive?
This is a very important part for us. Musicians, they want real, authentic connection with the people they do business with. And so I am the face of our company. I am present on every single one of our coaching calls. I answer emails personally. I do have an assistant who helps me out with, when we get backlogged with emails. But the assistant always sends me drafts and I'll put my own personal touch on it. I'll even jump on the live chat from time to time, which I know that's not scalable as we grow to, hundreds of thousands of customers. And we have a plan in place for that to start to bring some of our best customers into, customer service roles. But it's just maintaining that philosophy that we want to be the company that knows the names and faces and even the way that our customers sound when they're on stage, because we believe that that's what our customers are looking for, and it's the best way to grow a sustainable business in the music industry.
Well, it's always a challenge between working in your business versus working on your business. You are the the face of your business, and your talent and capability is sounds like it's really in the front of what you do, and sharing that with someone that can help move your business forward, I would think would be quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you hire a new software developer, you have to train them on your entire tech stack and how the thing works. That's the same thing with this company. Like, I am a very good documenter of process. So when I do something, I will write the step-by-step of how I did it, including screenshots and videos, which even if I'm not planning on passing that task off to somebody immediately, it is now documented so that when I do have the talent who's ready to step in, they already walk into a step-by-step instructions of how to do those tasks. So documentation is key for future planning and scaling.
Yep. Sounds like you're thinking about the future when they're going to take yourself and divide yourself into pieces. It might be difficult.
Yeah.
Let me ask, how do you ensure customer satisfaction and maintain a high level of service quality? Customer satisfaction is key because that's your future. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a high level of service quality to have that reputation. How do you balance that?
Yeah, we do run customer satisfaction surveys. So we're finding out what do people like, what do people dislike, and we focus our efforts on, covering our weaknesses. So if somebody's complaining about, hey, the way that the system takes deposits doesn't quite work for my scenario, we'll focus on that, try to find a way to provide every individual a high quality experience on our platform, while also balancing the fact that all of these musicians have different ideas of how they want to run their business. So we have to please everybody without necessarily creating a million different individual solutions. That's a combination of designing, iterating, even putting our ideas out there for our customers, saying, hey, look, here's how we think we should design this. Could you provide us feedback before we spend the time and money to develop the feature? That's one way, is getting the customers involved in the design process. The other is just investing in infrastructure. We want the app to work as bug-free as possible, which if you run a software company, it's nearly impossible to have a completely bug-free experience, but you gotta make that a priority to tackle those bugs so that, the next person that joins your program and spends their first dollar on you, the first experience they have should not be of a bug.
Well, great. That's helpful answers. People that are musicians, like you think about yourself years ago, before you really established a system which you have today, you kind of did what was required at the moment, but it wasn't a system. You developed a system, and there are others that are entrepreneurs in the music industry that are facing the challenges you did years ago. I just wonder if those challenges have changed or if they're the same that you experienced before. These are probably your potential customers for the future. Are there different challenges now than they were before, or are they just the same and you just need to get to them?
It's a good question. So for musicians who are looking to, expand their careers, make more money, the challenges are basically the same, which the biggest challenge that I faced as a musician going into this game was just not knowing that I was running a business. Right? It was just this assumption that if I put all of my time and effort into becoming a better musician, that it would all work out for me. In 99% of the cases, that doesn't happen. Those years and decades you spend in the practice room could ultimately lead you still wanting more opportunities to play, and your bank account is still close to zero. So the first challenge is treating your music career as a business. The second challenge is figuring out what the implications of that are, which for most musicians, the big challenge is learning how to market yourself and learning how to sell your services, which they're two distinct skills with overlap, but you got to learn each of those in turn in order to make it a sustainable career for yourself.
Well, I think one of the things that you mentioned a few years back was that there would be musicians that would do a wonderful performance. They would leave and they wouldn't get paid.
Yeah.
What a shock. What a shock. Well,
Yeah.
you've corrected that problem with your system. Do you have advice for aspiring entrepreneurs that are looking to make a difference in their industry? Any advice that you might give them other than certainly teaming up with you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think one of the most impactful exercises that UWM's entrepreneurship programs had me do was customer discovery interviews. Before creating a solution, before spending time and money with your best guess as to what people want, go and ask them first. What I love about that is like you can run surveys, you can literally get face-to-face time with them and just ask them, how do you do this in your daily life or in your business? And from their answers, you'll discover the opportunities. But then one of my next suggestions, which might be a little controversial, is sell them the solution before you build it. Literally ask for their money before you've created the solution. And this could be in the form of a pre-sale or in the form of selling an information product that teaches them how to do their solution, how to solve their problem better or faster. And that to me kind of connects back to the fundraising question of if you can sell people either a pre-sold version of the product or sell them information on how to solve their problem, then you're making money before you've even built the product and you're showing traction, which will help you get to the next level, whether that's fundraising, joining an accelerator program, or even bringing on key hires that will get you to where you want to be with building your product.
Sounds great. Do you, on some of your engagements, get a deposit ahead of time?
100% of them, yes.
100%. So you're not going to leave the beautiful performance with no money. You already will have gotten some money and hopefully get the balance when you finish your performance.
I do this myself and I teach my musicians that when the contract is signed, you take a deposit and then you collect the final balance a week before the performance. So you show up 100% paid to every gig.
Wow. That sounds revolutionary.
I know, but it shouldn't be.
Well, that's great. Well, this is very exciting, and I really appreciate the chance to touch bases with you again, and I look forward to talking with you more in the future as you grow and as you expand.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity, Jim. I'm so glad we got to reconnect.
Likewise, and that wraps up another episode of Graduate a CEO. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, make sure you take a second to subscribe so you automatically get my new shows when they drop. Also, if you have a minute, I'd love if you left me a review so more entrepreneurs like yourself can discover the show. Until next time, take care.
This has been Graduate a CEO with Jim Hunter. If you'd like to connect with Jim and learn more about why you should consider starting a business while in college, go to jameshunter.com. Graduate a CEO is a production of Advantage Audio.